My friends, when we speak about inspiration, we often think of heroes who made history, great leaders who shaped nations, or pioneers who changed the world. But sometimes, the greatest inspiration comes from the people around us, especially women who, through their strength, patience, and love, silently guide us to become better human beings. A woman doesn't need to hold a title to inspire. She doesn't need to stand on a stage, sign autographs, or lead a crowd. Sometimes she inspires by the way she sacrifices for her family. Sometimes it's in the quiet way she listens, the courage with which she faces difficulties, or the kindness she extends even when life hasn't been kind to her. When I think of women who inspire me, I don't just think of the famous names we read in books. I think of the mother who never gave up on her children, the teacher who taught not just lessons but values, the sister who supported without asking anything in return, and the friend who stood strong when everyone else walked away. These women remind us that true inspiration doesn't come from loud noise. It comes from silent actions, consistent sacrifices, and unshakable love. They show us that strength is not always about power, but about resilience, that success is not always about wealth, but about character, and that beauty is not always in appearance, but in the heart. So today, let us take a moment to appreciate the women who inspire us, not just by what they do, but by who they are. Because behind every strong person, behind every great achievement, there is often an inspiring woman. Inspiration is often misunderstood. We tend to believe it comes from grand achievements, shining awards, or the big stages where people are celebrated. But if we pause and reflect, they will realize that the greatest inspiration in our lives doesn't come from those who are far away in history books or on television screens. It comes from the people close to us, especially women, whose simple acts of love, strength, and sacrifice have shaped us into who we are today. They may never appear in the newspapers or be quoted in famous speeches, yet their silent contributions remain carved in our hearts forever. Think about it. When a mother wakes up every morning before anyone else, preparing food, managing the home, taking care of her children, and sometimes even balancing a job, is that not a daily act of heroism? She doesn't receive medals or applause, yet her sacrifices lay the foundation of entire families and, by extension, societies. It is not in one big, dramatic act that she inspires us. Rather, it is in countless small acts performed with consistency, patience, and love. True inspiration is often hidden in the things we take for granted. I once heard someone say that the most powerful people are those who influence us without even trying. A woman who gives up her comfort to ensure that her children are comfortable never announces her sacrifice, yet her life itself becomes a message. We are so conditioned to look at success in terms of how much money someone makes or how many titles they hold. But real success is reflected in the character they shape in others. A mother's gentle words, her unshakable faith in her children, or even her silent prayers at night can inspire more than any speech ever could. And it's not just mothers. Look at the women around us. Maybe a sister who sets aside her own needs to see her siblings smile, or a grandmother who tells stories filled with wisdom and life lessons. Or even a friend who listens without judgment when the world turns its back. These may appear ordinary in the moment, but when we look back, we realize they were extraordinary. Their impact isn't measured in applause, but in the transformation they bring to our hearts. Inspiration, you see, doesn't always shout. It whispers. It is found in the nurse who patiently tends to the sick, the teacher who believes in the student others have given up on, the young girl who dares to dream despite challenges, or the woman who balances countless responsibilities with grace. Their actions don't just inspire us to admire them, they inspire us to become better versions of ourselves. So, when I think of inspiration, I don't always think of the people who stand on a stage. I think of those women who stand quietly behind the scenes, giving strength, courage, and love to others. They are proof that inspiration doesn't always need recognition, it just needs sincerity. And the greatest source of inspiration is not in power or position, but in selfless love and sacrifice. When we think about inspiration, most of us imagine something loud, visible, or dramatic. We picture a powerful leader giving a speech that moves millions, or an artist creating a masterpiece that shakes the world. But the truth is, inspiration often comes in silence. Women especially inspire not by loud proclamations, but through consistent, quiet actions. It is in their patience, resilience, and unspoken strength that we see the deepest lessons of life. Take, for instance, the quiet way a woman holds her family together during difficult times. She doesn't necessarily stand up and announce, "I am strong." Instead, she shows her strength in how she continues to manage responsibilities, keep harmony at home, and provide encouragement when others feel hopeless. This silent inspiration doesn't need recognition. It simply works like the roots of a tree, hidden, invisible, but holding everything firm. Without those roots, the tree cannot stand. And without these quiet actions, many lives would fall apart. Sometimes it's the small gestures that leave the biggest marks. A woman who chooses kindness in a situation where anger would be justified inspires us without saying a word. Her decision tells us that gentleness can be more powerful than aggression. Another woman who chooses to forgive, even when wronged, teaches us that peace is stronger than revenge. She doesn't give a lecture. Her choices themselves are the lecture. We don't just hear it, we feel it. There are countless women who inspire simply by living their lives authentically. A young girl chasing her dreams despite financial struggles doesn't need to deliver a motivational speech. Her persistence itself is a message. Don't give up. A woman who stands firm in her values when society pressures her to compromise doesn't need to debate her choices loudly. Her integrity silently inspires respect. These quiet examples teach us that inspiration doesn't always need a microphone. Sometimes it needs only courage. We live in a world where noise is often mistaken for strength. The louder someone speaks, the more people assume they are right. Yet women have taught us, time and again, that silent actions speak far louder than words. The mother who works 2 jobs so her children can study, the sister who sacrifices her own dreams to support her family, the wife who stands beside her partner through failures, or the grandmother who still prays for her family daily. None of them may be celebrated publicly, but they inspire generations. Their actions ripple quietly across time, shaping lives in ways they may never even realize. The beauty of this kind of inspiration is that it does not demand attention, it does not seek applause, it does not need validation. It is powerful because it is selfless. It is profound because it is sincere. And it touches us more deeply because it is not imposed upon us, it is simply lived before us. We watch it, we absorb it, and without realizing, we are transformed by it. So, inspiration is not always in the noise of the world. It is in the silence of service, sacrifice, and love. Women remind us that the quietest actions can create the loudest echoes in our hearts. Among the many sources of inspiration in our lives, one of the greatest and most profound is a mother's selfless dedication. If we pause for a moment and think, we realize that there is no other relationship on earth quite like the one between a mother and her child. Her sacrifices, her patience, and her unconditional love often go unnoticed, but they are the very pillars that shape who we are. A mother rarely speaks of her struggles, yet every day she demonstrates courage and resilience in ways that quietly inspire us to live with greater strength. Consider the endless hours she invests in her family. She is often the first to wake and the last to rest. She doesn't ask for recognition. She doesn't complain about the exhaustion, and she doesn't demand anything in return. Her satisfaction lies in seeing her children healthy, her family cared for, and her loved ones smiling. That dedication, so pure and selfless, is one of the most powerful lessons in love and sacrifice anyone can ever witness. A mother teaches us that love is not about grand gestures, it is about consistency. It is not about one act of kindness, but about a lifetime of giving without expecting anything back. She may sacrifice her career so her children can have a future. She may go hungry so her family doesn't. She may carry her own pain silently just to make sure her children feel comforted. Each of these acts, though often invisible to the world, inspires us more than any story of success ever could. Think of how she believes in her children when no one else does. A teacher might call a student average. Society might label them as failures, but the mother's faith never wavers. She sees potential when others see weakness. She whispers words of encouragement when others speak words of doubt. And those words, soft yet powerful, can change the direction of an entire life. Many great leaders, inventors, and change makers owe their success not just to their talents, but to the unwavering support and sacrifices of their mothers. Even when life throws its hardest challenges, a mother rarely steps back. She may not have wealth or resources, but she finds a way. She stretches what little she has to provide. She faces storms with her head held high, not because she has no fear, but because her love gives her courage. That resilience itself is an inspiration to all of us, teaching us that strength is not the absence of struggle, but the determination to keep moving forward despite it. And it doesn't end with her children. Many mothers extend this love and care beyond their own families. They become guiding lights in their communities, offering help, sharing wisdom, and nurturing others with the same dedication. Their hearts expand to embrace not just their own children, but anyone in need of care. Such a selfless spirit shows us what it truly means to live for others. When we look back at our lives, we may forget many things: school lessons, material possessions, or even achievements. But we never forget the sacrifices of a mother. They remain etched in our memory because they are not just actions, they are expressions of the deepest kind of love. And that love becomes a lifelong inspiration, shaping how we treat others, how we face challenges, and how we live our own lives. When we speak about inspiration, we cannot overlook the role of teachers and mentors, especially the women who shape lives not only through knowledge, but through values. Knowledge fills the mind, but values shape the heart, and it is often a woman's nurturing guidance in the role of a teacher that creates this balance. A good teacher doesn't simply tell us what to learn, she shows us how to live. And in that silent, consistent guidance, we find a source of lifelong inspiration. Think about the countless children who walk into classrooms with little confidence, uncertain of their abilities. A teacher may be the first person to tell them, "You can do it." Sometimes those 3 words change everything. That encouragement may sound small in the moment, but for a child who feels invisible, it becomes a turning point. Years later, that same child may grow into a leader, a professional, or even just a kind, grounded human being, all because one teacher chose to believe in them. Isn't that a powerful kind of inspiration? It is easy to teach facts and formulas, but what makes a teacher truly inspiring is the way she teaches lessons of life. A woman who teaches her students honesty by practicing it herself leaves an impact that no textbook can rival. When she shows compassion, patience, and fairness, she is not just transferring knowledge, she is molding character. That influence lasts far beyond school years, silently guiding her students through decisions, struggles, and relationships. Many of us can look back and remember a teacher who changed our lives. Maybe it was the teacher who stayed after school to help us understand something we found difficult. Maybe it was the one who noticed when we were struggling emotionally and took the time to ask, "Are you okay?" Or perhaps it was the teacher who pushed us to aim higher when we had settled for less. These women often go beyond their professional duties, giving not just their time, but their hearts. They inspire us by reminding us that real success is not about grades. It is about becoming a good human being. The dedication of these women is also remarkable. They spend hours preparing lessons, correcting work, and finding ways to make learning meaningful. Yet what truly stands out is their patience, the ability to repeat, to guide, to nurture without frustration, even when progress is slow. That patience itself is a lesson. Life requires persistence, kindness, and the ability to keep trying no matter how many times we stumble. Mentors, too, extend this role. They are not always found in classrooms. Sometimes they are women who guide us in workplaces, communities, or even within families. A mentor may not teach academic lessons, but she teaches us how to navigate challenges, how to carry ourselves with dignity, and how to grow without losing humility. Her words and examples serve as a compass when we feel lost. The impact of such teachers and mentors often goes unnoticed because it cannot be measured in numbers. You cannot count the lives changed by a kind word, the confidence restored by a smile, or the hope rekindled by encouragement. Yet those are the very things that shape who we become. And when we reflect on the people who inspired us most, we often find the image of a woman who, through her patience, wisdom, and love, gave us not just education, but direction. Inspiration does not always come from the most visible places. Sometimes it is hidden in the quiet loyalty of sisters, daughters, and friends who support us without asking for anything in return. These women may not stand in the spotlight, but they stand beside us when we need it most. Their presence, their sacrifices, and their unconditional support remind us of the strength that relationships bring into our lives. Think of a sister who grows up sharing not only a home, but also dreams, struggles, and memories. She may give up her own desires to ensure her siblings have more opportunities. She may be the one who defends you when the world criticizes, the one who believes in you when even you doubt yourself. She may never say, "I am inspiring you," but her actions, her sacrifices, and her silent care become a source of lifelong strength. Her loyalty tells us that family is not just about blood, it is about love that doesn't demand recognition. And what about daughters? We often think of parents inspiring children, but daughters too inspire parents in countless ways. A daughter's innocence teaches patience. Her trust teaches responsibility. Her laughter teaches us to value joy in small moments. As she grows, her determination to pursue her own path becomes an inspiration in itself. Parents may sacrifice much for their daughters, but in return, daughters inspire them to dream bigger, work harder, and live better. Watching a daughter fight for her place in the world can remind us that courage doesn't always come from age or experience. It can come from youthful determination and fresh hope. Then there are friends, the chosen family, who walk into our lives by choice, not by obligation. A true friend, especially a woman who supports you without conditions, becomes a mirror, a shield. and a guiding light. She is the one who stands by you in moments of failure, not just in success. She is the one who encourages you to rise again when life has knocked you down. And sometimes, her loyalty teaches us more about love and friendship than any book or speech ever could. The beauty of these relationships is in their selflessness. A sister does not demand a reward for her support. A daughter does not expect recognition for the joy she brings. A friend does not seek applause for standing beside you. They give because they care. They sacrifice because they love. And it is this unconditional loyalty that becomes so deeply inspiring. It teaches us that true relationships are not about taking, they are about giving. In a world where people often form connections for personal gain, these women remind us of the purity of relationships built on love, trust, and loyalty. They inspire us not to measure relationships in terms of benefits, but in terms of presence. They remind us that the people who truly matter are not the ones who stand with us when everything is going well, but the ones who refuse to leave when everything is falling apart. Their inspiration is subtle but powerful. They do not stand on stages or write their names in history books, but they write their names in our hearts. Their loyalty shows us that strength is not only about facing challenges alone. It is also about having the courage to stand with someone else in their struggles. And that is a lesson we carry with us for life. When we think of strength, the image that often comes to mind is someone who is powerful, unshakable, and perhaps even intimidating. But true strength, as shown by women, is not always about physical power or loud displays of confidence. It is reflected in resilience, the quiet yet unbreakable spirit that enables them to endure hardships with grace, dignity, and courage. Women teach us that strength is not about avoiding pain. It is about standing tall in the midst of it. Consider the countless women who face challenges that would break many others, yet they continue forward. A woman may lose everything, her security, her comfort, even her dreams, but she finds a way to rebuild. She may be abandoned, misunderstood, or underestimated, but she chooses not to let these setbacks define her. Her resilience becomes a living example of how true strength lies not in what we avoid, but in how we rise after being knocked down. Think of a mother who raises her children alone. The world may label her situation as difficult, and indeed it is, yet she carries the weight of both roles, provider and nurturer, without complaint. Every day, she fights battles others may not see. Every day, she sacrifices to ensure her children don't feel the emptiness of what is missing. Her resilience teaches us that strength is not in avoiding responsibility, but in embracing it fully, even when it feels overwhelming. Or think of women who face illness or loss. They may endure physical pain or emotional grief, but they choose to continue living with hope. They still smile, they still love, and they still give. Their resilience becomes a lesson in courage, reminding us that life will bring suffering, but it is our response that defines us. Their ability to carry scars with grace shows us that strength is not the absence of wounds, but the wisdom to transform pain into power. Resilience also shines in the way women adapt to change. From adjusting to new roles in family and society to balancing careers and personal lives, they often carry multiple responsibilities. When circumstances shift, they bend but do not break. They find solutions where others see problems. They create opportunities where others see obstacles. And in doing so, they inspire us to embrace change instead of fearing it. It is important to note that resilience does not mean a lack of struggle. Women feel pain, exhaustion, and doubt like anyone else. The difference lies in their refusal to give up. They may cry, they may stumble, but they do not stay down. Their willingness to keep moving, even when progress feels invisible, is what sets them apart. They remind us that resilience is not about pretending everything is fine, but about finding the courage to keep going even when it isn't. This kind of strength is transformative because it doesn't just inspire admiration, it inspires action. When we see women endure difficulties with courage, we realize that we too can endure our own. Their resilience becomes a mirror, reflecting our own potential to rise. They show us that strength is not about dominating others, but about mastering ourselves. Not about avoiding storms, but about learning how to dance in the rain. One of the most beautiful qualities that women embody, and one that serves as a profound source of inspiration, is kindness, especially the kind that is extended even in times of adversity. It is easy to be kind when life is gentle with us, when everything is going smoothly, and when people treat us well. But the true test of character comes when life is harsh, when challenges surround us, or when others have been unkind. And it is here that many women shine the brightest, showing us that kindness is not a weakness, but one of the greatest strengths a person can possess. Imagine a woman who has faced disappointment after disappointment in life, yet she chooses not to let bitterness take over her heart. Instead of passing on the pain she has received, she responds with patience, compassion, and understanding. She could allow her hardships to harden her, but she refuses to let circumstances define her spirit. That choice alone is inspiring, for it teaches us that kindness is not dependent on what we receive. It is a conscious decision to give what we believe the world needs. Think of the grandmother who, despite living through poverty and struggle, always finds something to share with others, be it food, wisdom, or simply a comforting smile. Or the woman who forgives someone who has wronged her, not because the other person deserves it, but because she values peace more than revenge. These actions may appear small, but their impact is immeasurable. They show us that kindness in adversity has the power to heal wounds, restore faith, and break cycles of negativity. Kindness is not just about big gestures. Often, it is in the little things. A woman who notices someone is struggling emotionally and takes a few minutes to listen. A colleague who helps quietly without expecting recognition. A mother who, despite being exhausted, still whispers encouraging words to her child at the end of a long day. These moments may not make headlines, but they touch lives deeply. They remind us that even the smallest act of kindness can be a ray of light in someone's darkest moment. What makes kindness in adversity so powerful is that it requires inner strength. It is easy to react with anger to mere negativity or to withdraw into self-protection. But it takes courage to stay soft when the world has been hard, to remain gentle when life has been rough, and to keep giving when there seems little left to give. Women often embody this courage, showing us that true strength is not in retaliation, but in compassion. This quality also creates a ripple effect. One woman's kindness, especially when shown during tough times, inspires others to act with the same grace. It may encourage someone to be more patient, more forgiving, or more generous. Slowly, one act at a time, it spreads beyond individuals and begins to influence entire families, communities, and even societies. When we witness women showing kindness in adversity, we are reminded that the measure of a person is not in how they treat others when everything is good, but in how they act when life is unfair. And this lesson becomes a guiding light for us all. It tells us that no matter how much pain we may endure, we still have the power to choose kindness, and in that choice lies true greatness. In today's world, we are constantly surrounded by messages that equate inspiration with appearance, how someone looks, how they dress, or how glamorous their lifestyle may seem. But true inspiration does not lie in outward beauty. It lies in inner character, in the purity of one's heart, and in the values one lives by. Women, more than anyone else, remind us of this truth. They show us that while appearance may capture attention for a moment, it is character that captures respect for a lifetime. We all know someone whose presence lights up a room, not because of their looks, but because of their spirit. A woman who radiates kindness, humility, and integrity becomes unforgettable. Her beauty is not limited to her face. It is reflected in her actions, her words, and the way she treats people. She teaches us that beauty may fade with time, but character grows stronger, deeper, and more inspiring with every passing year. Think of a woman who chooses honesty even when it costs her. The world may tempt her to take shortcuts or compromise her values, but she stands firm. Her integrity becomes a message in itself that dignity is worth more than any temporary gain. Or imagine a woman who treats every person with respect, regardless of status or background. Her fairness and humility inspire us far more than any physical charm could. True character also shows in how women handle challenges. Outer beauty may win admiration, but it is inner strength that wins hearts. When a woman faces hardship, yet refuses to give up, when she forgives even after being hurt, when she continues to care for others even while carrying her own burdens, these are acts that leave lasting inspiration. They remind us that resilience and compassion are far more powerful than flawless appearances. Even in daily life, it is character that inspires us. In a woman who balances her responsibilities without complaining, who uplifts others without seeking credit, who chooses peace over conflict. She embodies a beauty that no mirror can reflect. Her example tells us what truly matters is not how we are seen, but how we live. This truth is often seen in older generations of women. With age, physical appearance changes, but their wisdom, grace, and strength make them more inspiring than ever before. A grandmother's wrinkles tell stories of sacrifices, struggles, and unconditional love. A mother's tired hands speak of years of service and care. Their beauty is not in smooth skin or youthful looks. It is in the depth of their character, which inspires generations to come. What makes inner character so powerful is that it cannot be taken away. Appearances can be altered, judged, or forgotten, but character remains. It shines through in how we treat people when no one is watching, in the choices we make when we could easily take the easy way out, and in the values we uphold even when life tests us. Women who live with integrity and compassion remind us that the most lasting legacy we can leave is not how we looked, but how we lived. So, when we think about the women who inspire us most it is rarely because of their appearance. It is because of their courage, their kindness, their honesty and their ability to remain true to themselves in a world that often pressures them to be otherwise. That is the kind of beauty that never fades, and the kind of inspiration that lasts forever. In every great achievement, in every remarkable success story, and in every strong individual, there is often an unseen presence, a woman who inspired, guided, or supported that journey. Women have always played a hidden but central role in shaping not just people, but entire societies. They may not always be mentioned in history books, but their influence is deeply woven into the foundation of every accomplishment. Without their presence, many of the stories of greatness we celebrate today would never have been possible. Think about a leader who stands proudly before the world. Behind that confidence is often a mother who whispered encouragement during moments of doubt. A teacher who nurtured belief in their abilities, or a wife or sister who provided stability and support when the world outside was chaotic. The applause may go to the one in the spotlight, but the unseen contributions belong to the women who stood silently in the background, ensuring that person never gave up. Throughout history, countless women have shaped nations and communities, not from positions of power, but from positions of quiet influence. They raised children who became reformers. They passed down values that became the backbone of cultures, and they provided wisdom that guided generations. Their role may not have been recognized with titles or awards, but their impact has been immeasurable. Even in everyday life, we see this truth. A woman working tirelessly at home creates an environment where dreams can flourish. She might not be the one receiving recognition for success, but her care, stability, and sacrifices form the foundation upon which that success is built. A man may rise to great heights in his career, but often it is his mother's discipline, his wife's encouragement, or his sister's unwavering belief that made the journey possible. The world may not see it, but he knows that without them, he would not be where he is. This hidden role is powerful because it is selfless. These women do not give with the expectation of acknowledgement. They give because they care. They sacrifice not to be remembered, but to see others succeed. And it is this humility that makes their influence so extraordinary. They remind us that greatness is never an individual achievement. It is always a collective effort, and women are often at the very heart of it. Consider also how women shape societies through the values they pass on. The lessons taught by a grandmother at home, the traditions preserved by mothers, and the principles instilled by female mentors. All of these become the invisible threads that hold cultures together. They may not stand at podiums delivering speeches, but through their daily actions and teachings, they mold future generations. They show us that true power is not only about leading publicly, but about guiding privately. What is most inspiring is that these contributions often come without recognition. A woman may spend her whole life giving, supporting, and shaping others without anyone applauding her name. Yet the impact of her presence lives on in the lives she touched, the values she instilled, and the love she shared. She may not be remembered in history books, but she is remembered in hearts, and that is a legacy far greater than fame. So when we celebrate achievements, we must remember the hidden role of women who made them possible. Their quiet influence, their sacrifices, and their love are the roots of every success. They remind us that while some inspire on the stage, others inspire from the shadows. And often, it is those in the shadows who hold up the entire stage itself.